Welcome to Vintage Radio Cafe, your number one channel for relaxing vintage audio restoration. If you like watching an idiot wielding a soldering iron, you've come to the right place. Watch Ray's attempts to fix wonderful forgotten radios from another era, way before transistors. Sometimes he even gets them working again. What could go wrong, right?
Hello everybody and welcome back. So it's been like 2 months since I worked on the Saba or did any radio work, to be honest. Simply because I had to wait a full month, 4 weeks, just to get the vacuum tubes in, the EC92s for the FM. Then I also had to wait 2 months, well, over 2 months, to get a brand new chassis holder made from steel strapping. That took a long time. And between those two periods of waiting periods, I had to change my car. Yeah, my 2017 Hyundai Tucson. I started having problems with it last year. It was burning up oil like crazy. Anyways, I changed it for a brand new 2026. Same thing. And wasn't too impressed with that motor, but they had problems in those years from 2012 to 2017, 18, something like that. So they gave me an interesting deal on it. So it was worth changing for the same thing. Hopefully they fixed the problems, but I didn't take any chances. I took a longer warranty, so everything is guaranteed for 5 years, 100,000 kilometers, both mechanical and electronics. So hey, we'll see. So yeah, I've got the new vacuum tubes in. So yeah, let's see how it's gonna fare. So brand new tubes, the FM EC92s. So we're on full power, 117 volts. And if you remember last time, we didn't have much of an FM reception, and the voltage was very high at over 300. What I hadn't thought about was that since those two vacuum tubes were so weak, they weren't drawing any power or very little. So that's why the voltage was way too high. So now I can even go a little bit higher because it's in factory. It's set, the transformer is set for 115. So here I get 120. I didn't dare go any higher than 117, 18. Let's try it a bit higher. So we're still, within the 300 volts DC. Let's see how it sounds on FM. So to get it to a station.
Archipel, le plus beau Noël du Grand Montréal. Pour un temps limité, profitez de notre promo Opération Sapin. À l'achat d'un sapin de Noël naturel, obtenez un remboursement de celui-ci en bon d'achat. Le plus beau magasin de Noël, boulevard Cousineau, Saint-Hubert.
Un problème juridique vous trotte dans la tête? La tentation est forte de faire appel à l'intelligence artificielle pour y voir plus clair. Mais l'IA n'a pas toutes les réponses. Il arrive même qu'elle propose les mauvaises. Se fier uniquement à l'IA n'est pas sans risque. Faites appel à l'expertise d'un avocat capable de comprendre et d'analyser votre...
As you can hear, it sounds really, really good. And it's the same on AM, especially with an aerial, an external antenna. But the problem of the auto-tuning still remains. So if I move away from the station a little bit, I activate it. It's humming, it's making noise. See? It's not really on the station, and it's always fighting, it's always looking for it. If I shut it off, it's not really on the station, so the problem remains. What I have noticed though is that the button on this side, yeah, it doesn't react too good, has a tendency to stay pushed in, to remain pushed in. There's supposed to be a light here, a green light, according to Mario. I've never seen it go on. And there's two screws here, and this one is not the same. It's not, screwed in all the way. It's protruding maybe an eighth of an inch, 3/16 of an inch, and it's a flat head. Here it's a Phillips. So I wonder if this might be part of the problem. I think, looking at the chassis, although it's been partially recapped, it hasn't been cleaned. So I'm guessing this whole circuit here, this whole board, must be very, very corroded, dirty. Maybe this screw doesn't help. So my point is, I'm going to start with that. So I'm going to pull the chassis out and start with this. First thing I'll have a look at. I mean, it's as good a starting point as any, because I'm really not sure what's going on. What I know is that those circuits are really finicky. Everything has to be perfect. The tuning has to be perfect. I mean, after all, the only thing that tells the radio when to stop is when it perceives the peak of reception, voltage from one station. That's when it stops. That's the trigger it needs. So obviously it's not there, but why is it not there? Is it because the radio needs an alignment? It's not because of the vacuum tubes anymore. We eliminated that. I tested the tubes before and they're perfect, as always, with everything I get from Jim, Vacuum Tubes Inc., out in Florida. So I'm going to start with that. We'll see how bad it is. Maybe the screw here moved something. Maybe there's a loose wire. Maybe the contacts are just too crowded. So yeah, let me pull the chassis out and we'll have a look at that. Okay, folks, so good morning. It's the next day. Just because, I stopped working late last night on the Saba. I managed to pull the chassis out of the cabinet. It was not easy. This thing is a beast. It's the widest chassis I've ever seen because of the extra tuning motor on the side of it. And it's very high, so I'll come back to that part later. So just to sum things up and to show you already the problems I'm having. Yesterday I was talking about this that had two screws, the front badge there, the sketching, I guess you call it. I thought the two screws on each side were linked to the mechanism, the tuning mechanism, but they're not. They're just there to hold this in place. So I'll have to work under the chassis to be able to see what's going on with that. I can now see the green bulb. I'll have to check if it's burned out or just not connected properly. I'll also have to remove this before I take the glass plate out. On the Sabas, they have this aluminum protector, if you will, held by 4 screws, but there are nuts in the back, so it's a bit tricky to remove, but hey, not that bad. But the real problem was this. When I tried to remove the volume knob and the tuning knob, they wouldn't budge. And yeah, let me show you. I understand now what was going on, but I didn't at first. Okay, they're still very hard to remove, although all the screws are out. And yeah, I don't know if you'll be able to see this. Maybe I can try to go a bit closer. Yeah, see how cracked it is? Okay, I couldn't figure out why. So let's have a look at the bigger knob. It's also cracked. I don't know if you can see this. See the hairline fractures here? Yeah. Took me a little while to figure it out, but I understand why now and what happened. It's the first time I see this on a volume knob or tuning knob. See this little circlet, C-clamp? Well, it's there and it's barely noticeable, and it's there to hold the knob in place on top of having the screws. So the guy before me or somebody before me didn't notice that and pulled on it to the point that it cracked. Of course, the pressure will be there. It won't move from there. And the rest of the plastic will have a tendency to flex, to bend. It doesn't bend because it's plastic. So now, when I try to remove it, and mind you, there's no screws there. All the screws have been removed, and it's still very, very hard. And yeah, problem is the shaft has been marred. Those screws have been over tightened, and they dug into the metal. I don't know if you can hear this compared to this one. So yeah, I'll have to I don't know, maybe use some steel wool to smoothen that as much as I can. The other problem is that the guy before me, again, you know those felt washers? They're usually just loose like that. I've never seen them glued on. And this one has been glued on, and the glue dripped here, not only on the screws, now they're clean, but not only did it drip on the screws, but it dripped on the shaft, per se. So the problem it caused is that it wasn't glued in the right spot. It was a little bit too far out, so I couldn't access the little circlet, those little lock washers there. There was no way I could pull them out because, yeah, the plastic was in front of it, the knob. So the knob has to be moved out a little bit, so there's room to pull this out. It was even worse on the volume knob. Yeah, same problem here. And it's also, the bigger one is also for the ferrite antenna. And I only realized it was glued to the shaft after I had loosened all the screws, and I could still turn and I could see the ferrite antenna move. So I figured, no, it must be glued to it. So this one is even more full of glue. I've cleaned it, okay, but I'm telling you, all this and the inside was glued to the shaft. And glued too far out, I couldn't access the little channel for the circlet. I worked 3 hours on that just to be able to free the knobs, if you can believe it. So the plan for today is, to do my usual cleaning, finish cleaning the chassis and the dial plate, and try to access the bottom part. Now, let me get set up. I want to talk about the chassis holder I just got made. Okay, guys, so here is the chassis holder, the two parts. Okay, let's just examine one. And yeah, took me months to find a welder to begin with. And yeah, this guy was highly recommended. I was told he works very well. So I wrote him and I asked if he could do such a project. And I sent the diagram that I got from Manuel and pictures from his own chassis holder. So the guy said, yeah. I often do those little vintage projects, no problem. So yeah, it took at least 3 weeks before he started working on it. And when he did, well, then he started to ask questions. And basically what he was doing, he said he could do it, but obviously he couldn't. And I'll explain why. And he was trying to creep his way back up to doing something else that he could do instead of doing what I needed. What I mean is that the metal strapping is steel and he used 1/4 inch, which is way overkill, way too big. This is structural. It's made for construction or something. Certainly not for what I needed to. Although those German chassis are usually very big and very heavy. So I told them they had to be able to support at least 45 pounds. But 45 pounds for steel, it's nothing. I mean, Manuel's chassis holder, I believe, is made of from 1/8 of an inch thick steel instead of a 1/4 inch. So that was his. Well, the first question he asked is that, well, he didn't tell me he couldn't bend it. But later, when I saw it done, I realized, yeah, no kidding, you can't heat that up and bend it, He has a tiny shop. Actually, he works in a unheated shed. He has very little equipment, okay? And so instead of bending them, he asked, well, is it okay if I make, just square angles and I weld it? So, I mean, what do I know? I said, well, as long as it's the same end result, you've got all the dimensions, I guess it will be okay. So, what I didn't realize is that he also did it for here. Instead of just raising it a little bit and curving the metal, leaving me more space here, well, in his mind, it was better to raise it so I would have more room to grab it underneath, which is not a bad reasoning. It's okay, But he should have compensated here. He didn't raise this. So my point is, none of the chassis I have, and I tried many, will fit inside. This one, I mean, it's a monster. It's obviously too big. Even if I remove the stereo decoder, even if I unscrew the audio transformer and move it out of the way, the ferrite antenna still won't go through. So, see me coming here, right? I can't use this, at least not on this radio, and probably not on any of the other German chassis that I have. So, what I'm gonna ask is for the guy to cut it here on all 4 parts and put a bigger plate, a longer plate here, and weld it, move all this up about this much, better more than not enough, and re-weld it. Or maybe drill holes and put pins or screws, bolts, something, it's not supporting 1,000 pound. It doesn't have to be that sturdy. It has to be sturdy, but The other problem is that, well, this is so wide. When I put the chassis over it, well, I'll probably won't be able to reach some of the components under the chassis. But usually what I can do is just leave one screw in, undo one, and just, move it like that a little bit. And yeah, maybe have it, hold it with a C-clamp or something, for the time I need to work on a specific components at the very edge of the chassis bottom. But that's my point. I don't even want to tell you how much this cost me. But I'm going to ask him, try to cut it and modify it in some way. Maybe it's not doable. I don't know. The other problem he had, which he only told me when I went to pick up the chassis, because we had agreed on the price, but he tried drilling those oblongs or holes or slit there. He tried to do it with a press drill. And of course he couldn't do it. Was doing a shitty job. So he had to outsource this. He had to contract it. And it cost him $80 to drill those 4 holes. So he wanted $80 more. Needless to say, I was pissed. Because we had agreed on a price, $180. And now he wanted $80 more. And I could tell that I was probably not going to fit, at least here, height-wise. So I told him, well, let me get home. I'll test it. And if it's okay, I'll send you the money. So obviously it's not okay. I'm not happy. I'm going to ask him to do the modification. Maybe there's a way to grind part of it here on each side. So I have more access, better access to the under chassis, maybe. I'll see with them. But yeah, it's probably going to take another month or so. So I'm not very happy. This radio belongs to Mario, and I want to get it done. He's been waiting for like 3 months now. He says he's not in a hurry, and I can understand that, but there's a limit, right? So that's my problem. So either I'll try to work without a chassis holder, just by tipping it on the side. Although there's this plastic peg at the back of the chassis to control the balance. So it's probably not a good idea to do that. Or I'll use my old chassis holder. Yeah. I promised myself I wasn't going to use it anymore. But hey, it's, how you say it? It's hard to get good help these days. I mean, I'm sure the guy did the best he could, but what pisses me off is that I asked him, I showed him everything. I showed the dimension, how it had to be made, and how it was going to be used. And I asked him, are you able to do it? And he said, yes, no problem. But obviously, he wasn't able to do it. He did something, resembling, but it's not at all what I wanted. And I'm not sure, even if he makes the modification, if it's going to be a workable chassis holder for me. So I'm not happy with that. So I'll just go calm down and have a coffee and a muffin or something. And also working on on this radio. So I'll be right back, guys. Okay, guys, so it's the next morning, and yeah, yesterday I finished cleaning as best as I could the whole chassis, all the top side, yeah, and all the way in the back here is the part that I could not reach unless I unscrew and I undo the whole power transformer and the audio transformer assembly. But I'm just going to leave it that for right now. Yeah, I did smoothen those shafts as much as I could. I mean, the deep grooves are still in there, but at least the part that were protruding, the burr, has been flattened out. So hopefully the knobs will be easier to reinsert. Cleaned the back plate, and as you can tell, it's really bad. It's really bad because the smoke residue was so baked in. Anytime I tried to applying a little bit of pressure with my rag, and mind you, I was just using soap and water while I was going through the paint. Yeah, not much paint left. So what I might do, because those back plates on the Sabas are not, I suppose it's possible to remove them, but not easily. You have to take the whole radio apart. You have to remove every strings, wires, and pulleys, the magic eye, the ferrite antenna assembly. You get my point. Way too complicated. I could spray paint it in situ by masking out everything. It would take hours and hours on end, or paint it with a little paintbrush. So what I might do, and I did this before, is just insert a vellum paper. So yeah, it would appear, through the dial plate, it would appear more white. So I might just do that. And so I did turn it on the side, because I don't have a usable chassis holder to do the operation. So I put it on its back side. I flipped it, and I cleaned everything, all the piano keys, and this mechanism, from what I had seen from Manuel, that he worked on a mechanism like that. I thought I was going to be able to free this, but nope. It's riveted in place. There's only 2 screws, and you can move it maybe half an inch. No, not even, a quarter of an inch maybe. So what I ended up doing is cleaning it in situ. And yeah, you might see those contacts here. And there's some further down. And it's basically the same type of contacts you have on the ferrite antenna. So the part that contacts, that makes the, yeah, is really those little dots here, those brass dots. That's the only part that contact. So you can imagine how easily this can get corroded. Very tiny. I did the best I could to deoxidize them. And I don't know if it's going to work. The other part that was a real nightmare was just to replace, well, to get to that bulb, because I didn't have to replace it. And yeah, very hard to show, but there's a long tube, for that green cover, okay, because there's only a light bulb here, way in the back, it stops here, and this is just tape that's hardened up with time and shrunk. And to access it, this is the part you have to go from the back. Yeah, maybe I can try to go. Yeah, see where there's a paint there, Loctite? This is the plate that you have to remove just to be able, once this is removed, then you can unscrew the light bulb. And that plate was so corroded, there was no contacts. So the light wasn't working. I checked the light and it's still functional. So yeah, that's what I had to do. So let me flip it over just like I did for the cleaning, and I'll show you what's been done on the underside. Yeah, it's pretty much what I expected. So there you have it. And okay, I'll try to make this very, very simple. From what I can tell, well, many of the paper caps have been left in place. I don't know why. Nobody can ever convince me 60-year-old paper caps are still good. But some of the electrolytics have been changed. Okay, nothing seems to have been done on the tone shaping. All of those have been left there. But yeah, I noticed there's I believe this is a choke, and this is the second audio transformer. So there's one for the left side, one for the right side, and I believe this is the choke. Yeah, here you can see what the guy before me did. You can see where the original rectifier, full-wave rectifier, was installed. So he removed it, and he just put one of those bigger full-wave bridge rectifier. And for some reason, I will never know why, he added a fuse. So that's what I was talking about, what I could see just from the back. So yeah, my dilemma here is that, and you see those caps have been changed on the motor. Okay, my dilemma is, what do I do now? Because if this had been my radio, my project, I would have changed all the capacitors. I mean, all the paper caps on the tone shaping side. Yeah. On the speakers, they haven't been done either. I would have changed all that. But all this being said, the radio works. And it sounds really good. So the guy, I don't know, he did everything. He stopped at the point, when the radio started working, or because he has a lot of experience, he knows exactly which capacitors to change. I'm not that good. And to test capacitors in circuit, it's always, you never have a proper reading, so you have to unsolder. And my philosophy is that when I unsolder one leg, to take a measurement, unless it's really, really perfect, since I already have my hands in it and I did one side, I usually change it, plain and simple. Same for resistors. Once you heat up one of those old resistors to get a good reading, you don't put it inside, back on the chassis. You change it. So my dilemma is, what do I do now? I'm pretty much made my mind. I'm just gonna work on the problem. The problem is the auto tuning. So this is what I was talking about. See all those contacts here? Well, I deoxed them as best I could. You can see it's still pasty here, but that's not the contact point. That's not where the electricity, the signal goes. It's on those sides there and inside. And yeah, everything is riveted in place but those two screws. And once you undo those screws, well, you can tilt it forward maybe this much, but it's not helping. Yeah. And the light bulb there, well, the plate goes on top and there's two screws. It's a simple principle, but this is a real bitch to remove because there's a screw underneath and the wire gets in the way. It's pretty stiff and it's short. So once this is unscrewed, you can remove that plate and unscrew the light, which I have done, and deoxed all that. I need a brasso to bring it somewhat to a shine. So yeah, now that it's been deoxed, or at least I attempted, I'm going to put everything back up. I'll finish cleaning the dial plate and this aluminum housing. It will need to be repainted. There's not much you can do with that, but I'll leave that to Mario. Also, since it's winter, I don't know if it's a good idea to do my usual controlled bleach for the grill cloth, for the front grill, because usually once it's soaking with peroxide, I put it outside. So the UV rays are what is really destroying the dirt and the bacteria and all that. But now it's winter, so I don't know if it's going to work, but we'll see. So the plan for today is to clean the door glass, yeah, finish up with that, reassemble everything, put it back in the chassis, and test it to see if it made a difference. If it doesn't, I guess I'm really guessing here. The only other possibility would be to get it aligned, bring it to Mario, the other Mario, my technician, and have him do a good FM alignment. Because if it's not perfect, the auto tuner will never pick up the station perfectly. It will always go by. But ultimately, I'll leave that to Mario. I'll do what I can. I'll give him back the radio. He wants to redo the finish, and then he'll make his own decision if he wants it aligned, to take a chance to see if it's going to improve the auto tuning. But Mario has 18 Sabas, so I don't think it's going to be a problem for him. I don't know if he's even going to keep this radio or resell it. I don't know. So, yeah. You already know by now. I'm sure you could tell by my voice. I'm not a big fan of those auto tuning circuit. I don't think they ever work very well. Maybe they did originally, but yeah, 60 years later, it's so critical. I have yet to see one that works perfectly. But yeah, it'll be his decision. So yeah, let me finish that and I'll be right back.